Okay.
We also have someone new today.
Oh, who is the someone new today?
Vanessa.
Vanessa? Oh, you are new today?
Yeah, this is my first time joining the morning session.
Oh, okay. Welcome,
Yeah.
welcome. Say hello, Vanessa. So I must ask you the ceremonial question. How did you get to know about this group?
Because yesterday during the Heart Sutra workshop, Shifu got mentioned, and then
Oh, okay.
some also got yeah, but some also got offer also. So
Okay, okay. Welcome, welcome. Yeah. So Vanessa is from NTU, right? Yeah. So she's currently, which year are you in now?
I'm in my third year, going to my fourth year already.
And which course are you in?
Material science.
Material science.
Yeah.
Mahaleo. So used to be our sister faculty. Yeah. I was in CT, CE, and M. Last time used to be material. Oh, sorry. But did you say material science?
Yeah, material science and engineering.
So last time used to be material technology and computer technology under School of Applied Science. Then both of us, both the faculties changed to material engineering and computer engineering. Then I think both went for accreditation, then later have the science part, then become material science and engineering. Yeah. Wow, so you are in the forefront of technology, because in many fields, looking at the different materials is actually becoming a very important field. In particular, I think battery technology. Yeah, right. They are looking at a while back. They were looking at the carbon nanotubes thing, but it kind of like talk, then kind of fizzled off. Yeah. So, have you chosen your FYP?
Yeah. This time, I'll be discussing like further more about my FYP with my mentor next week, next Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay. And so you should be doing your intern now, is it? Your internship?
Yeah, I'm having my internship now.
Yeah. So how are you liking the work life? Or the demo of work life?
I think so far quite okay lah. And then the people there are quite nice. And then as an intern, because now I'm transferring to a new department.
Okay.
So now got more stuff to do lah. Last time I don't really have a lot of stuff to do as an intern.
Oh, so interesting. Intern get transferred to another department somehow.
Because like I know some employee from other department, and then I asked them whether or not I can be transferred, because like last time my project end like very very soon, like way before.
Wow. So you are also finishing your intern project ahead of time. Well done. Very good. Okay. Enjoy your internship.
Thank you, Shifu.
Yeah. And FYP, it'll be a fun, well, depend on how you look at fun. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your uni days.
Thank you, Shifu.
Yeah. And welcome to the morning sit. Okay, so Xiao Fang has a question. Morning, Shifu, in regards to yesterday's sharing. There are many different practices from different schools, and it may often be confusing because of the differences. For example, the paragraph that Shifu shared during the Heart Sutra class, which was opposite to the meaning of the original text, but derived expediently for a particular group of practitioner. So that's number one. Number two is very different meditation practice in the tantric tradition that is totally different from the anapanasati and satipatanna. Yes. My question is, how do we make correct judgment to the differences in the sense that some information has been changed over time? For a beginner in Buddhism, these differing concepts or teachings can easily arise doubts that can affect the initial faith and practice. How can one walk this path more steadily and not be hindered by doubts? Very good question. So, and the two examples given is also very spot on because it touches on one core principles. Yeah. So in terms of you look at the Dharma or Buddhism, then you have the teachings. Yeah. The number two is the practices. Yeah. So these are when you're if you look at the chat or hear what I've just read, you can look at them as just examples, okay? Because there are many more such cases. Yeah. So then, in that case, would one have doubts? I think minimally would have doubts. If not, you'll be confused. Yeah. Yeah. And next, you might wonder like, like which one is is there a correct one? And if there is one that is correct, which one is correct? Or is there one that is most suitable? Minimally, you will wonder, so which one is more suitable for me? If you assume that all of them are actually correct in some ways. So if you look at the teachings itself, right? For example, the teaching on emptiness. Yeah, the teaching on emptiness. In some traditions, is actually outrightly rejected. Yeah, you go and listen to some talks, or if you go and visit some communities, they outrightly single that out and say this is not found inside the Pali Canon. And then they criticize Dhamma Sutra, saying, "Who is this Venerable Subhuti?" You know, things like that. So in terms of the principle itself, there are, or in terms of the teachings part, where's Xiao Fang? Xiao Fang, okay. So in terms of the teachings part, right, there are a few angles or different areas that differ between the different suttas or the different schools. Okay, so let's just get over the in my opinion, somewhat superficial ones. Okay, like what was mentioned earlier. This sutta is not found in our collection of texts. To me, this is the superficial part. In this sutta, a certain character is mentioned, a certain person is mentioned. Yeah, but in our sutta, we never hear of this person before. Yeah, in this sutta, I talk about this particular place or event happening, but in our suttas, the collection of suttas, we never hear of this thing happening before. To me, this is somewhat not so consequential. Yeah, this part is not so consequential. Why? Because, for example, if you look at all the Heart Sutra class that I have conducted since 2006, you'll find that it's at different places and different people attending. Yeah, that itself doesn't make the content more correct or more wrong. Yeah, if we take this out of the context of Buddhism, in school, in all the different schools, you don't have the same teacher teaching maths, right? Does it make the maths more right or more wrong? No, barring teachers who teach it wrongly. Okay. Sometimes teacher blur. Okay, but other than that, these are inconsequential and to me superficial details about the suttas that we shouldn't get caught up with. Yeah, the Buddha himself highlighted in one of the sutta talking about how in future should one encounter certain teachings that is new, yeah, or unheard of before. So how should one assess it? Yeah, if you hear some teachings that is new to you, how should you assess it to know whether it is so-called Buddha Vachana? That means words of the Buddha. Yeah. When you say words of the Buddha, some people literally, they take it literally that it must be spoken by the Buddha. But if you look at the content of that sutta, it's not meant that way. Rather, the Buddha said that the gist of the assessment, right, lies on whether the teaching is in line with the principles found in the suttas. Yeah. In the four standards never talk about who said it. Okay, number one. Yeah. Never highlight, oh, it must be said by Buddha, then must be correct. Yeah. But it just focus on whether the as to the validity of the teachings hinges on whether the principles espoused by this so-called new teaching that you have come across, does it conform with what has been taught in terms of the principle, not in terms of the exact wordings. Oh. So then what about, so having taken considered that, then we look at what if the content seemingly oppose each other. Okay, I will then cite which one is, where is that from? I think you can find it in a few suttas. Yeah, I think in the Anguttara Nikaya, if not Dhammapada, there are some verses that says, 杀父杀母是真阿罗汉. Yeah, one who kills father and mother is a true arahant. This is a Pali canon. It's not in some esoteric Chinese Mahayana text that is found only in Sichuan or Singapore or something. No. Yeah. The key thing here is, then if you just stop there, then you'll be like, what? But below it says, this would be true if father and mother is a name for craving and clinging. Then you are true arahant if you can so-called kill father and mother, as in craving and clinging. Yeah. Then further in other texts, so this seems to come out of nowhere. Then in other texts, you see someone coming to ask the Buddha, saying, it has been said that the Buddha advocated killing. Yeah. So is this true? Then the Buddha said, before I go into what the Buddha said, like, think about it. In our day-to-day life, when someone accuses us of something, yeah, what is our normal response? Our normal response is to refute it, especially if it's not something we agree with. If someone accuses you of being very beautiful, or very handsome, or very rich, yeah, even if it's not true, maybe we, no lah, we refute, but in the kind of, no lah, you're flatter only, huh? Yeah, you will not. Who say I'm beautiful? What kind of nonsense is this? You will not accuse in this way, right? So depending on the kind of accusation, if it's not true and it's bad, yeah, commonly recognized as bad, we will quite vehemently go against it. So now imagine if someone accuses you of killing, yeah, you will be dumbfounded, like, what do you mean? You mean kill ants? Right? We will try to look for the lower penalty one. They said, no, someone said that you kill a human, someone, you are now under court case. No lah, what are you talking about? Yeah, we will go batshit crazy. But do you know how the Buddha responded? The Buddha's response was, now that statement would be true if he meant killing of and it's a whole collection of defilements, craving, killing, things like that. Yeah. So the Buddha, if you look and read the sutra, it's like there's a reason why he's known as a 不动尊, like unmoved, no? And unmoved not in the sense like people ask him, instead that you advocate killing, then he 不动 as in cannot answer. But his response, you don't see the usual movement, the usual response that you expect people to have. Yeah. And at the same time, from here, you can see how there are two parts to the whole content. The first part seemed to oppose what the Buddha usually advocate. But then with the second part that the Buddha provide, which changes the premise, which defines a very specific premise and context, then it makes the original statement okay. Yeah. So as far as teachings that seemingly oppose, then you must look out for whether such a context exists. Yeah. Without that context, then that the first part has to be put to question. So from what I've heard, when I've initially get in touch with the Tibetan tradition, there's also another term, yeah, besides the Vajrayana, there's also the term Mi Jiao. Yeah, for some reason, people frown upon this term. Yeah, including some of those who practice Tibetan Buddhism. They shy away from this term, but actually this term has a deep connotation, and it has to do with that. This is what I learned when I was exposed to the Tibetan tradition. So, and that was with ABC, yeah, Amitabha Buddhist Center. And it in no way does it put this term in a bad light. It basically says that the teachings found in the Tibetan tradition or the Vajrayana tradition is so profound and not easily understood. Yeah, so they don't just anyhow teach everybody, because not everybody have the capacity or the tenacity or the merits to be able to listen to the whole set of teachings in its complete order. Yeah, and as a result, they may misconstrue certain aspects. And the example given happened to be this Safu Samu But and all the while, I thought that actually belongs to the Tibetan teaching. Wow, it's so special. Then later, when I, go through some of the other texts in the Pali Canon, then wait a minute, this is actually found in the Pali Canon. Yeah, and including, in the Tibetan tradition, there's this always very common phrase that they look at sentient beings and each other and say, "Oh, precious mother sentient being," right? This idea of considering every sentient being as your mother comes from the Samyutta Nikaya, the sutta called Mata Sutta, mother. Literally, the sutta is mother. And the Buddha says, since beginningless time, we have been, sentient beings have been traversing through samsara for so long that it is inconceivable to find anyone who has never been your mother, never been your father, never been your brother or sister. Yeah. But if you just hear people say, "Oh, you're my mother," that's false, right? Huh? Xiao Fang, you're my mother. That's false, right? That's like, yeah. But then there's a context to it. So when we hear new teachings, don't be so quick to reject it just because it don't seem to be totally in line. But at the same time, don't be so quick to accept teachings simply because it starts with 如是我闻一是佛在舍卫国. Don't be so quick to accept because there's this opening phrase. Anyone can slip it inside. Yeah, anyone can just have this kind of fabrication. Yeah, especially over the past 10-20 years, I've come across numerous fabrications. Yeah, including by some very helpful extremists from some other religion. Yeah, I don't want to go into their intent. Okay, yeah, but it's not good lah. Yeah, they even claim that if you go and look at one video in the YouTube, right? They claim that there was someone who had a near-death experience and then was brought to hell, and in hell saw the Buddha, and Buddha told him or her that to pass a message to all Buddhists that the teachings is wrong. Don't continue to follow it. If you continue following it, his karma continue, and Buddha have to continue suffering in hell. And then he says, and he claimed that, oh, this is something that has been verified, blah blah blah. Yeah. You know the best thing is, in the Buddhist commentary, there's a text that is similar to this, except that the characters are different and the context is slightly different. The context is Venerable Mahamoggallana and Venerable Sariputra are the ones whom, with their psychic vision of psychic power, went to visit their teachers who was reborn in hell because the teacher was teaching wrong views. And then the teachers basically tell them that you need to tell my students to stop spreading the teaching. Otherwise, his time in hell cannot end. Yeah. And Venerable Sariputra observe conditions, not right, cannot tell. Tell, you get in trouble. But Venerable Mahamoggallana, I'm not clear about the reasons, but I like to think that it's compassion. He went on to tell. Yeah. In some of the sub-commentary, he talked about how it is because of the ripening of his karma. So he went and tell. And in the end, the ascetics who were training under the previous teacher, called the 持障外道 or 木障外道, they bashed him to death. They killed him. So Venerable Mahamoggallana was killed under such circumstances. Yeah. So this is actually found in the Buddhist tradition. Yeah. But not that they go and see the Buddha. Yeah. And the previous context is these two persons, Venerable Sariputra and Venerable Mahamoggallana, were training under this particular teacher beforehand. And when Venerable Sariputra met Venerable Asaji and then learned about the teaching and immediately attained satipatanna, and then told Venerable Mahamoggallana, later they shared with the teacher, and the teacher was basically, but I'm already of such a senior age. I have so many students. You all go ahead. Yeah. So the teacher, because of, I think the commentary basically states that the teacher, out of pride, was not able to put aside the wrong teaching. But I actually know that it's wrong already. Yeah. There's a difference. If a person hear the teaching but don't see that it's wrong, yeah, and so don't give up the old teaching, versus someone who see that, oh, this is actually correct, but still continue to teach the wrong one. Between the two, the second one is more severe because you knowingly teach the wrong one. Yeah, the first one is not so good also. Yeah, but the second one is worse because it's actually you are lying. Yeah, the first one is wrong view. Yeah. So that aside, there are others. There's even another YouTube claiming that they found some script, some ancient script, don't know, in Thailand or Cambodia, and it has been verified by the Mahasangha there. And then the pra something or the whoever high venerable affirmed that this is true. And then the supposed ancient script claims to say that, oh, the Buddha has already appointed a future coming one. Yeah, and which is true, right? The Buddha did give the confirmation for Maitreya Bodhisattva, right? But then the supposed script then add on, look for the marks on his hands. It's like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah, and then further saying, he will be bringing the teachings. Yeah, I'm not able to deliver you from like suffering. Yeah, follow him. And basically, it's distorting the whole thing. That basically conclusion is follow Jesus Christ. I'm not maligning Jesus Christ or Christianity. I'm stating as a matter of fact that there are some extreme Christian, not Christians, to me they are extremist Christian, who come out with such video to attack other religion. And I don't think Buddhism is the only one. Yeah, it's basically, to me, it's like, can you imagine if you go to a lecture hall, like let's say Vanessa, you go and attend lecture. Has any of your lecturer ever come to class and say, hey, today I want to tell you all about computer engineering. You know how bad computer engineering is? In the university, the lecturers have no time to finish their material. I got time. Yeah, unless people start to give out flyers, yeah, making false accusations, then they may have to address it once in a while to say, again, there are people who are coming up with flyers. Please take note, all this is rubbish. Please go to our website and go and look at the what. Yeah, don't waste your time on this kind of thing. Otherwise, the lecturers have no time to finish their core material. And sometimes say, okay, this part, don't worry, don't forget about it. Correct. So anyway, yeah. So second part, in terms of practices, very much the same angle. Okay, don't be caught up with the superficial or inconsequential part. Okay, but I want to give maybe just one example, in particular anapanasati. Yeah, when we think about anapanasati, what do we think of? Mindfulness of the breath, literally anapana, in and out of breath, sati, mindfulness, right? So pretty straightforward. What can go wrong? You think about it. How many places have you gone for teaching mindfulness of the breath or anapanasati, but they teach you to count the breath, right? But counting is not found in the sutta. Yeah, counting is not found in the sutta. How many centers have you gone to where they teach you to label the breath? When you breathe in, label breathing in. When you breathe out, label it breathing out. Labeling is also not found in the sutta. If you look at the sutta, the Buddha just say, because when breathing in, know that you are breathing in. Just know. There's no labeling involved. Yeah, so if you really want to say the existing set of all the different practices are not 100% congruent with each other, nor with the sutta itself. Oh, jialat. 不问还好. Yeah, don't ask, still okay. Ask suddenly, cannot follow, all gone. No, that's not what I'm trying to do. The point is, after learning from different venerables under different traditions and slight variants of the techniques, including in the sutta, it says something like observe the breath in the front. So, but there are different interpretations. That's why today some say observe at the nose tip, some say upper lip, which is pretty close. Then some observe at the abdomen. Yeah. So which one is correct? So my own in my own encounter in the different traditions, all the teachers teach what worked for them. Yeah. If you look at the Buddha's time, you look at the first teaching that the Buddha gave, yeah, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the turning of the noble truth, yeah. So consider this. If you look at that teaching itself, it is somewhat detailed, but still quite brief. Yeah, and over the next 45 years, he gave more and more elaboration of each and every one of the topic. And many times the sutta starts off with, someone will ask the Buddha, feelings, what is feelings? And then the Buddha will give elaboration. Someone will ask the aggregates, what is the aggregates? But in the Buddha's time, the Buddha, in the first teaching, the Buddha didn't have to give too much explanation. People can understand. So if you compare them, you cannot say they are exactly the same, but you can see that the later one is a further elaboration of the earlier text so that people can understand, right? Somewhat similarly, if you consider, if you were to ask someone to say, just be aware when you're breathing in, just be aware when breathing out. Most people can do it for a short time. Then after a while, bro, the torrent of thoughts just drown you. So over time, different masters at different time period develop slight variation of the practice. So counting started, labeling started. And that's why in all these traditions, at the middle, later part, the counting and the labeling has to be stopped. It's dropped. Yeah, because it was always an expedient process. Yeah. And so, and further, we may look at, let's say, like the, for example, you mentioned tantric practice. Yeah, I'm not an authority or super trained in it, but from the little I have picked up from the tantric practices, it can, even though some of the lineages don't specifically say this is samatha, this is vipassana, they can still be classified in that way. You'll be surprised, huh? Yeah, you'll be surprised. Yeah, even if it is not explicitly classified in that way, it can still be classified. If you understand truly what is samatha vipassana, and you look at any new practices, you can more or less, this part is samatha, this part is vipassana. Because the essence is any of the meditative practices where there's an object, and then you anchor your mind on the object and repeatedly anchor it, yeah, such that it quietens the mind and support the non-arising of discursive thoughts. Yeah, and leading to the point where your mind is free of preoccupation with the senses, the first 5 senses. Yeah, and in so doing, it leads to a sublime state, a state where your mind is quite naturally anchored to the object. Yeah, so anything that does that, has the effect moving you in that general direction, that is considered samatha. Yeah, and that's why even Visuddhimagga, which is held up as the gold standard, somewhat, even in Theravada tradition, not everybody agree that that is gold standard. Yeah, but it's one of the key commentary, yeah, among many others. Okay, we talk about 40 different objects of meditation just for samatha. And if you look at them specifically, the specific technique seems to be different. Kasina, first and kasina itself, there is the color kasina and the 4 elements kasina. Yeah, and if you compare that with mindfulness of the breath, like here, no connection. Yeah, but if you look at the mechanism, yes, kasina and breath the same. Yeah, in this case, breath is your object of meditation. In the other case, kasina basically means a disc. Okay, a disc. Yeah, kasina is your object. Yeah, and the technique is very similar. You examine the detail of the breath here. Over here, you examine the detail, the features. first you just have an overview of the casino. Yeah, okay, round shape, and this is what color. Then after you go into detail, the specific intensity of the disc and so on and so forth, and then the boundary of the disc between what is not casino and what is casino, and then you capture this until it's so clear that the disc appear in your mind very clearly. Similarly for the breath, you examine it to the detail of how it arises, how it sits, and so on, until it's so clear that every stage of the breath you are clear. Yeah, so actually, as far as the main the mainstream, here we must delineate. There are some Satipatanna Buddhist group. That one is actually not Buddhist groups. Oh, we're not talking about that one. Any other ones within the main Buddhist traditions that you can actually find some connection, some basis. In this way, then when you look at the different so-called differences, you won't be so confused. Yeah, but for a start, as much as I share with you my distillation of the differences, it may still be a bit difficult for you to grasp that they are actually having the same functionality. Yeah, so for a start, instead of trying out every different teaching to see which one works and then end up more confused, whichever one that you encounter, try it out and see how it works for you. See which one works, see whether it works for you first. And when we say work for you, I mean, does it produce the effect that is intended? That is, quieten the mind and then help you develop wisdom. Yeah. And in many cases, development of wisdom means getting to know your silang kwan. Yeah, getting to know your flaws, your default state. Beyond that, I think that's that. Beyond that, yeah. Okay. I hope this gives clarification to everybody. This is a very good question. Yeah, because Buddhism for 2,500 years has spread so far and wide across the world. Out of compassion for different people of different affinity and inclination, the masters has tailored the teachings and practices for specific groups and individuals. Yeah, and over time, that customization start to become so specific that when you compare the customization found in one specific tradition versus the customization of another tradition, they look seemingly quite different. Yeah, just as if you compare a Ferrari and a Mazda, yeah, you cannot say that they are the same. But then yet, if you ignore the super slick look of Ferrari, and then if you ignore the quite run-of-the-mill design of Mazda, you should note that both have 4 wheels. Yeah, both have engine, both have seats and a steering wheel and the pedal. So they still serve the same function, but they may implement it in slightly different ways. Okay. 愿消三障诸烦恼，
愿消三障诸烦恼，
愿得智慧真明了，
愿得智慧真明了，
普愿罪障悉消除，
不愿罪障悉消除，
世世常行菩萨道。
世世常行菩萨道。
阿弥陀佛。Till we meet again, may be guided and protected by the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And as always,
乖乖。
okay,
师傅，
Thank you, 师傅。
谢谢师傅。
谢谢师傅，
have a 乖 Sunday ahead.
拜拜。
Thank you，师傅。
Bye. Bye, everyone.
谢谢师傅，
Stay safe, take care.
谢谢师傅。